Steve was one of the most versatile football players that we ever recruited at JMU. And he was a nightmare for opposing offenses because he was a mismatch. You talk about a guy that stands out. Steve Bates was as athletic as anybody we had, but he's a big guy. So by a mismatch, if you put Steve at defensive tackle, the big fat doughboy offensive lineman couldn't block him. If you put him outside linebacker and brought him off the corner, the small halfbacks couldn't block him. He's too big. He was amazingly versatile. I actually say there's two things about Steve that stick out. Versatility and effort. He's one of the best effort players I've ever coached. And versatile, you got an athlete that you can put on just about any position on the front seven of your defense, and he's going to be effective.
What's interesting in leading up to this, I was thinking a lot about what really stood out to me about Steve, and one of the things was just how calm he always was. It seemed to be like Steve Bates had a resting heart rate of about 54. He wasn't one of those guys that was, screaming in the locker room or screaming on the sidelines, but he was the guy that just week in and week out continually showed up on the field. And so while he wasn't, the loudest guy and always seemed calm, he was, like a quiet storm.
So Steve comes to school at 6'4", 220, and I say this guy could be a great tight end because he's big enough to knock down tackles coming down as a tight end, but he's an athlete. We throw him the ball, he's just kill you at tight end. So we put him at tight end. The first week we're throwing him the ball, everything we threw him, he just knocking it down, he's scratching up our balls, couldn't catch anything. And somebody says the problem with Steve is he wears glasses, and we got to get him to wear the glasses, or we get glasses for him and goggles that he wears. Still couldn't catch a cold, couldn't catch anything. So probably the best thing that ever happened to us was Steve couldn't catch, because we put him on the other side of the ball, becomes an All-American blue-gray guy, game changer. He became, when I got there, we had Charles Haley, who's legendary, right? When Steve came, it was, this is the next Haley. That's how good and prolific he was and productive he was.
He was always trying to get better, and I just remember it was gradual and consistent. It stood out in moments, but I think when you look at him from beginning to end, you can see someone who was consistently getting better. Steve, your induction into the James Madison University Hall of Fame is well deserved. Congratulations.
I did want to get the opportunity to congratulate Steve, but I also wanted to congratulate JMU Athletics for picking a young man who I think embodies all the characteristics that JMU stands for. I'm proud of you, Steve. I love you. You know that. Congratulations.